strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it. It is that day after the other day that it's after the other day, and it surely does not still matter who the host is. Anyways, today is Wednesday, May the 4th. You know what's going to be said all throughout the day, so I don't even know if I should start saying it right now. Nobody wants to go through that kind of torture. Anyways, it is May the 4th of 2022, day 124 of the year, so that's day 124 of the year, so don't worry about that. And what else do we have going on? And so here's the funny thing. It is day 124 of the year, and we have 241 days left to go. So if you look at it, it's a weird combination of things on how that works. Just think about the number sequencing. Anyways, just think about that for a moment. Anyways, we are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM.
Radio Big.
Oh, yes, and we're hanging out with our friends at RadioBig.fm as well, so don't get too carried away about that, because that is portion of the things that we get to do. So always a fun time as we are hanging and banging, moving and grooving, so all that kind of stuff. So how was your overnight? Did you do anything exciting? Did you want to call your mama and let her know what exactly you've been doing? I don't know. I figured I would just ask the question just in case. So if you are not familiar with how we do the stuff around here, we are a show that talks about safety in the news and safety. So that's kind of what we do as we hang and bang and do all that kind of fun stuff. If you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com. That will get you into the streamer emer, and that will get you everything moving. We can do video messaging, voicemail, the traditional messaging. I don't know why I always mention about the call-in portion, because it's really we just do the messaging, because I normally hardly ever answer anything. So I apologize. I should apologize ahead of time. In that particular regards. Anyways, I think it's that time of the show where we should start talking right away about what is trending. So let's do that right now. Let's start talking about the worlds of the trends of what is going on inside of the world. So as you might have heard yesterday, Supreme Court in the Supreme Court of the United States and hashtag Roe v. Wade and abortion rights were all trending in light of the leaked draft suggesting that the Supreme Court has voted to overturn Roe v. Wade in honor of so I don't know. So what did you think yesterday? Matter of fact, before I go forward, when you saw all of that, because it was everywhere, you could not actually move too far around the interwebs without seeing some commentary about it. What do you think about it? Just a question. In honor of Teacher Appreciation Day, Twitter users celebrated their favorite educators and those who left a long-lasting impact. So that was happening yesterday. Also, hashtag signs that you were old was trending on Tuesday. The tweets included, you realize that 30 years ago was 1992, not 1972. You turn the radio down in your car so you can see better. Snap, Crackle, and Pop is not from your cereal, and fingers get tired from scrolling down to your birth year. So there you go. I mean, come on. I mean, if we're being realistic, I know that the people that are listening to this thing most of the time are not in the younger demo. Don't take offense to that. You can feel young, but you can still be old. It's okay. Because I've coming to the realization that according to the cool hip kids, I'm old. That's okay. It doesn't offend me. I don't pretend to be old. I don't pretend to be young either, for that fact. I just pretend to be me. Okay, how do I pretend to be me? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So just some stuff to think about there. Anyway, so let's continue. Let's talk about what is the top 5 fiction and nonfiction books currently on the New York Times bestsellers list. So let's go into the fiction category, starting off at number 5, Where the Crawdads Sing. At number 4, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She must have been busy. At number 3, It Ends With Us. At number 2, according to the fiction category, was Beautiful by Danielle Steele. Why did I say Danielle Steele? And at the number 1 spot was Dreamtown. Dreamtown. So there you go. Those are there. And then what else do we have over here? So let's take a look at the nonfiction category. At number 5 was Left on 10th. At number 4 was Hello, Molly. So at number 3 was Playing with Myself. Really? That's the name of a book? Playing with Myself. At number 2 was Freezing Order. And at the number 1 book, according to the nonfiction category, according to the New York Times bestsellers list, it goes like this. The Body Keeps the Score. That one keeps on popping back in and out of the actual sequence. So there must be something there. Something there to be braggalicious about, that is for sure. So, as we were talking and as you get to hang, we will be bringing in our professional broadcasters here in a few moments to let them tell us what is going on inside of the world of the news, because that's portion of what we do around here. So don't worry about that. So we'll have that coming up. And then we'll go from there. We'll take a look at the interwebs and see everything that's going on, torture some people a little bit in regards of, some of the things that we want to talk about. And then just give it to you back all in a beautiful bow and go from there. So I think it's time for us to start talking about what is going on inside of the world of the news. So let's take it from, let's go ahead and take that from right there. Why does this thing look like it's frozen? Well, anyways, it sure does. So here's the news as we're going to get that moving your direction right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. Ending the historic case of Roe v. Wade would affect anyone who believes in a free society. Former President Barack Obama tweeted that in a statement. He says if the Supreme Court overturns the ruling legalizing abortion, it would reverse nearly 50 years of precedent. The potential Supreme Court decision to overturn the case is leading people nationwide to march and mobilize.
March, protest, strike, defend abortion rights.
The Women's March organization rallied supporters for abortion access to march at their local federal buildings, town hall, or town squares on Tuesday. Rise Up for Abortion Rights has protests going on in Los Angeles, New York City, Atlanta, Austin, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Dayton, Ohio. Both pro- and anti-abortion protesters have been demonstrating in front of the Supreme Court since last Monday. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says reproductive rights are the foundation for lives of choice, empowerment, and equality for the world's women and girls. Trey Thomas with more.
A spokesman for the secretary wouldn't specifically comment Tuesday on a leaked draft Supreme Court opinion that has justices prepared to repeal the landmark 1973 abortion decision in Roe v. Wade. He did say, however, that Guterres has raised concerns about a global pushback on women's rights.
Former President Trump isn't getting out of a $10,000 a day fine. A court refused to pause a contempt of court order in New York. It was issued last week after Trump didn't comply with a subpoena to hand over documents in an investigation of his company. Investors are awaiting an expected rate hike by the Federal Reserve. Peter Tuchman is a trader on the New York Stock Exchange and says it's truly been an unpredictable time.
The market, in my opinion, can usually handle one or two things that are going on geopolitically, economically, or whatnot. And we obviously have a lot on the table right now.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
More sarcasm than immortal.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. The European Union's planning a full embargo on Russian oil imports as part of a fresh package of sanctions on Moscow. It's the final day of campaigning ahead of local elections being held across the UK on Thursday. Elon Musk says there might be a slight cost to businesses for using Twitter in future. And Hong Kong's economy continues to struggle after strict COVID-19 measures, according to the latest data.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
25 flamingos and a duck are dead after being attacked by a fox at the National Zoo. Brandy Smith is the zoo's director and says her staff has a lot of work to do to make sure it doesn't happen again.
If a fox got through this mesh, then we're going to have to figure out a way to change out all of the mesh throughout the habitat.
It happened early Monday morning when the fox squeezed through a small hole in the fence. All of the other flamingos and ducks were immediately secured, and the fox ran away when a worker approached the area. Traps have been put out to catch the predator if it makes a return. Comedian Dave Chappelle is doing okay this morning after being tackled on stage by a fan while he was performing at the Hollywood Bowl last night. Chappelle went on to joke about the incident afterwards, thanking fellow celebrity Jamie Foxx for having his back as the man was taken away in an ambulance Tuesday night.
Whenever you're in trouble, Jamie Foxx will show up in the sheriff's hat.
The show was part of the Netflix is a Joke Festival, which includes over 100 live shows across different venues in Los Angeles, concluding May 8th. Amber Heard is expected to take the witness stand today in the Johnny Depp defamation trial. Heard's legal team has been calling witnesses to the stand this week, including a psychologist who testified Tuesday that the actress suffered post-traumatic stress disorder because of violence from her ex-husband. Depp claims that Heard was the aggressor in their relationship. Heard's lawyers on Tuesday asked the judge to dismiss the case, but the request was denied. Depp is suing Heard for $50 million, claiming she defamed him in a 2018 op-ed for the Washington Post. Basketball fans are gearing up for more NBA playoff action tonight. 4 teams will be back on the court for their second game in the series. Yesterday, the Celtics blasted the Bucks 109-86 in Game 2 to even up the series. The Grizzlies did the same with a win over the Warriors. The Federal Reserve's Monetary Policy Panel is expected to announce a 0.5% rate hike today. It's an effort to pump the brakes on inflation. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things as mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Yeah, self-imploding in airwaves is always a good combination because it sounds like you're doing something entirely different there. Anyways, currently 18 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging and banging on this, on this lovely Wednesday, wacky Wednesday, whatever the hell you want to call it, whatever, DDD there that you want to do. So yeah, we're hanging out doing our things together. So hopefully you're having a good time as we're doing so. If you are not aware of this, I don't know what to tell you. So let's talk about it from both fashions. You can hang out with us on a streaming service where you can see us on video, which who wants to put themselves through that kind of torture? That's number one. But that is available across multiple platforms on doing that, everywhere from Facebook to Twitch to all that kind of fun stuff. We go to Twitch quite often, by the way, in regards to what we like to do. A lot of people seem to interact a little bit more over there, just a little FYI there. So we're kind of a little bit of everywhere, LinkedIn and all that. But the other option that you have is the Safety FM app, where you can take a listen to us via radio stream, which is what we like to do. And then if you want to hang out on the radio big side of the house, you can do that as well by going to TuneIn Radio. Yeah, TuneIn Radio. Just type in just type in Radio Big, and that will get you moving and grooving into what we have going on. So there you go. A little bit of everywhere, doing a little bit of everything, just for the sake of doing so. So let's start talking right away about what is going on at the top of the hit list, because I think that these things are super important. So let's talk about it. Right now, with March jobs data, employers in the U.S. had nearly 12 million openings. Yes, that's 12 million openings, meaning that there was 2 positions available for every American who's unemployed. This is according to the New York Times Post. So think about that. Think about that. 12 million jobs available. So even more astonishing about the whole thing was that there 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs in March. 4.5 million. The news comes as inflation is only worsening. In March, it hit 8.5% from the year-over-year average. So something to talk about, giving you something to notice and talk about just for the sake of doing so. In other words, Americans believe that the tight labor markets will give them a better employment options because it wages against keeping up with inflation. So there you go. Some things to talk about as we are, moving and grooving with that. Anyways, as we continue down real quick in some other news that is going on, Surgeon General tells The Atlantic that there should have been more robust conversation about the corresponding downsides to so many of the toleration lockdown and shutdown measures that were taken over the course of the pandemic. In a panel discussion, he said that he wished there was more serious conversations about the negative effects of things like school closures. Worth remembering, the Surgeon General for almost all of 2021 had the power to encourage this kind of conversation at any time. Meanwhile, remember that that celebrating New Zealand's Prime Minister lockdown for the country to combat COVID. Adjusted in New Zealand's High Court has ruled that her border lockdown was unlawfully unreasonable and that it breached the Bill of Rights of the states of New Zealand citizens and has the right to enter New Zealand, especially when kept the citizens out of the country. The order was issued in a manner that would not demonstratively justified by the Free Democratic Society. So there are some things to talk about, some things to notice, and some things to some things to cover as we all talk about them and move and groove inside of the world real quick. So let's continue talking. Law enforcement in Alabama is conducting a manhunt for an escaped murder suspect and a correctional officer who believed to have helped him break out. The suspect's name is Casey Cole White, and the officer is Vicky White. But there's not related, just in case if you did not know that. Vicky White was the assistant director of corrections at the Lauderdale County Detention Center, according to the local reporting. She was able to get Casey White out of prison under the guise of taking him to a mental health screening, but they never went to the appointment and never showed up back to the facility. Just days before the breakout, Vicky White sold her home, giving the pair a pile of cash. Though not related, officials believe that they may have been a romantic connection between the officer and the inmate. So hold on. You sold your house. You took a convict out, and you made the runsy for it. And then you have the matching last name. There was a romantic connection. You never showed up to where you were going. I mean, at least play it off with something a little bit better. I mean, who knows? I mean, it is one of those things that you start thinking about and you go, wow. What kind of planning went into this? And you sold your house ahead of time. I mean, come on.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, before we get too far away into it, let's do the market beat. Let's bring some John Smalls inside of here.
Here's your market beat minute for Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. Equities rebounded from Monday's low on Tuesday, but investors shouldn't read too much into the news. The FOMC is slated to raise interest rates today and could be more aggressive than the market expects. Even if today's rate hike is only as expected at 50 basis points, the outlook for the pace of future hikes is a risk for the market. As it is now, the market is pricing in as many as 6 interest rate hikes by July, and that could be one or more too few. Based on the history, the FOMC will have to quash economic growth to get inflation under control. The question is if they'll provide a hard or soft landing, and we're leaning toward the hard landing scenario. As if the FOMC isn't enough to keep the market occupied, the NFP report is due out Friday, and that could shock the market as well. There are already some signs that inflation is curbing activity. If signs of slowing show up in the labor data, fears of a full-blown recession will increase, and the market may move lower because of it. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for that one, letting us know what is going on according to the market. So there you go. A 22-year-old man climbed a 1,070-foot office tower in San Francisco on Tuesday without any equipment, rope, or cables. Law enforcement was first alerted about the stunt on Tuesday morning and sent crews to monitor the situation. Fortunately, the man made it to the top unharmed, and then he was arrested for trespassing and resisting arrest. Turns out that it was all a stunt for social media clout. Hold on, I thought the guy was just trying out to become the new Spider-Man. Maybe that was just a different approach on how to do it.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's start talking about some of this. COVID risk could jump to medium in Chicago. COVID cases continue to rise in Chicago. City Health Commissioner Dr. Allison Awardi says that she has anticipated the city's risk level will jump in the coming days.
We probably will turn from low to medium risk. However, We are currently only planning to put mask requirements in place at a high risk level.
Okay, so there you go. And the risk level increases to medium. I will strongly recommend that mask wearing in schools as well as around the city. So there you go. Some interesting things to talk about as we continue to see some changes going on inside of the world. So there you go. So thanks for the people that are sending in book stuff, because that's fun. I'm seeing it in both messaging for the social media aspect and for the other side of the equation. Good morning, Alan Wolford. How are you? Hope everything is fine with your neck of the woods. We need to talk. I tried to email you, but for some reason it kept on saying that it was not going through. So we need to figure out a way to get in comunicado, mi amigo. So anyways, Indigenous death. Let's talk about this real quick. Indigenous Americans see huge increase of fatal opioid overdoses. The number of Indigenous Americans dying of opioid overdoses is growing at an alarming rate. More information by Brian Shook.
A new study in the journal BMJ Open shows that opioid overdose deaths increased fivefold from 1999 to 2019. It also says the number of drug overdoses in the U.S. overall has quadrupled in that time frame. Study data shows that deaths from synthetic opioids like fentanyl are also increasing fast, from 1.5 per 100,000 people in 2013 to about 12.5 per 100,000 people in 2019. I'm Brian Shook.
Okay, thank you, Brian Shook, for that one, letting us know exactly what is going on inside of there. Should I talk about this one? Let's talk about this one real quick. Chicago launches its own water brand. Do we want to talk about this? Let's just do it. Chicago is launching its own water brand. Mayor Lori Lightfoot yesterday unveiled Chicagua, a new branding campaign to promote Chicago's water quality.
Chicago is a brand that celebrates Chicago's unique access to the world's largest freshwater sources in the world.
A limited run of Chicago cans are being produced, featuring 6 different designs. I wonder how the people at Liquid Death are going to feel about this. Just something to talk about. So let's continue talking about some other things that are going on. Pro-choice advocates looming Roe v. Wade decision at the Capitol. Supporters of the abortion rights in Utah are protesting the apparent decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade. ACLU attorney Valentina de Fex says yesterday at the rally at the state capitol showed the mindset of many Utahnians.
80% of Utahns don't believe the state needs to have any more restrictions on abortion. And so it was amazing to see all the people here today.
Okay, several hundreds of people came out quickly in organized rally after the leak of the draft opinion indicating that the 1973 decision of legalization abortion nationwide would be struck down. Protesters called the decision to have an abortion personal choice and criticized lawmakers for trying to outlaw abortion in the state. In the decision that is overturned, a state law passed in 2020 would make it a felony to perform abortion in Utah unless it is considered medically necessary. Protester Jesse Salas says that outlawing abortion creates other issues that affect women's health.
Babies are being killed with abortions, but what about mothers who have stillborns who need to have these same procedures to make sure that they can have more babies? So it just doesn't make any sense to do something like this.
Something tells me we are going to continue to have some of these conversations going down the pike. We're not going to just stop here in that particular regards. I want to talk about this, and I know that John Smalls was just inside of here and referenced it, but let's talk about it a little bit more. Federal Reserve is expected to raise the interest rates today. I want you to pay real close attention to this. The Federal Reserve is expected to raise the rates by 0.5 percentage point. Mike Bowers has a little additional information here.
This is an all-in effort to bring inflation down, which stands at 8.5%, a 40-year high. Just 6 weeks ago, Americans were facing sharply higher borrowing costs as the Feds launched an aggressive campaign of interest rate hikes to curb soaring inflation. Now the Fed is putting those rates on steroids, and consumers will have to dig deeper into their wallets to pay off loans. And reports indicate the Fed won't be done there. The central bank is likely to keep pushing borrowing costs higher in the months to come. I'm Mike Bauer.
So there you go. And I know some people that we interact with, they depend on other people's money. And I mean that in the way of the book on how that says that. So something to think about as we are talking this morning. So just give that some consideration before you move forward with anything you got going on in that marketo. So anyways, with that being said, it is 30 minutes past the top of the hour. I think it is time for us to do that thing that we call the main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So, it's kind of funny because we sit back and think about a lot of things that occur in our lifetime. We think about the things that happen inside of the world and how they have impacts on what we have going on day in and day out. Now, the interesting thing is we've attempted to do this several times. We've attempted to have these conversations. We've attempted to go through the gamut of things and start talking about books that have changed your life. Now, listen, I know that this predominantly is a news/safety show. And most people would expect for me to go, well, this safety book is the one that I am going to talk about next. But what I want to do is talk a little bit about books that have impacted people's lives in regards of how they changed everything. I've had some people already kind of correspond in, have somebody saying the Bible, which I would imagine, that depending on how you look at things, yes, I would imagine that's changed some stuff. The Noticer was another one that came up, the Giving Tree. Let's see, how to win friends and influence people. The Laws of Attraction. Just to name a few, there's some of the ones that I have come across here. Of course, we have the Do Safety Differently stuff. But listen, as we talk about this morning, or as we're having the discussion, there are numbers of books that are out there that will change the way that you look and perceive the world. Now, I will tell you, many, many years ago, I talked to people about a particular book. And I'm just going to, and if you're on the screener, you'll see it. But I'll show you this. This one right here is probably one of the most controversial authors that I'll reference as we're having this discussion. And this one is Speaking from Experience. It's a pretty simple book, and it's illustrated solutions, how the business problems you face every day. And it is written as if it was for a child. I mean, if you kind of take a look at the pages, they have drawings on what to expect and some of the things to that extent. I think illustration-wise, it's one of the easier books to read, of course, and understand. I mean, but the book gets a lot of flack if you tell anybody about it because it was based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard. And now, if you're not familiar with L. Ron Hubbard, he was a science fiction writer who essentially ended up writing about a whole religious scenario later on that is known as Scientology. So that's one of those things that people don't love that book because of that. They think of the tie-in of it. But I'm not talking necessarily about, religious books. That's not going to be that's not going to be one thing or the other. But I'm talking about books that have had an impact of change. Now, listen, there have been books that I have read that had nothing to do with safety, and I have been able to tie them into the world of safety of what I do. I have been able to read some books that are related to safety that have tied in to other things that I have done, and just made sense. Now, the other book that comes to mind that has changed things for me personally, and listen, I'm going to reference this, and as I reference this, I want to be clear that this book, I read it, I thought it was excellent, and yes, I have that great opportunity to be able to interact with the man who's the author, which is kind of the fun part. But this book right here is by far one of my favorite books. And this book is titled Simple Revolutionary Acts: Ideas to Revitalize Yourself and Your Workplace. And I will tell you, that particular book, some of the concepts that are inside of there, I just think they're genius. And it's one of the simplest reads that I've ever been able to do. I mean, if you're on the screener, you will see how much a page has on it, which is not that much overall. But this book is written by Todd Conklin. And I think it's one of the better books I've read in regards of how you can apply some of the concepts. Now, listen, there are fiction books that are out there that can make you change the way that you think about things. There are books that are out there that will expand some ideology for you in regards of that. But how have those books impacted you? How have those books changed everything for you? Because listen, I'm going to tell you, if you are a person that is inside of the world of business, if you are inside of the world of work, here's what ends up taking place. You are going to be similar to the people that you surround yourself with. You're going to start favoring those books that you read. You're going to change based on the ideas and the things that are around you. So what books are you reading? Because I think it's so important for you to expand your mind as you move forward. Now, listen, I'm never going to go out there and tell you, you need to read a 900-page novel before the end of the month, and that will make you move forward. No. But what I will encourage you to do, if you can, and if you're not a book reader today, listen to audiobooks if you have the opportunity to. And if you can start, if this is something that you've never done before, do one book a quarter. Read one book a quarter. If you're already in the book process, read a book a month. I will tell you, there's certain books that I go to over and over again, not because I didn't understand the book. It's because there's always new information that is there. Now, there are some books that I didn't understand pretty much the whole time when I read them first time, but sometimes there are some books that I go back to just to get additional information. You know how sometimes you'll go to a class and 90% of the class might be into something that you've already known? But there's that 10% that you did not know, and that's that moment that sticks out. Maybe it's one of those scenarios. If you're already familiar with certain subject matters, it's always good to take a look at what's there. Now, I will tell you, I have been taking a deep dive into an 8,000-page book recently. Yes, 8,000-page book. And my brain has been frying for the last couple of months. And this is probably one of the longest reads that I've ever done in regards of a book. But it's just amazing the amount of information that comes about it. Now, what books have that kind of impact on your life? What kind of books have an impact on you that all of a sudden some of the theories that are inside of there make you really think about some other things? I'll tell you, I've been doing more research as of late because of this book. Not saying that that's something you need to do, but some of these things are going to be the stuff that drives you to move forward. So, what book comes to mind today that has changed your life? Would you recommend it to others? If so, please let us know what books those are, because I'm always intrigued to be able to share them. Books that I always think that are pretty interesting, and one of the first books that I tell people, you know, if you really want to take a look at all the fun stuff that's going on inside of the world, My Big Theory of Everything by Thomas Campbell. I'll tell you, it'll make you look at things differently. That's for sure. Anyways, but then again, if you have some lists, please feel free on going to Call-In Radio and sharing them with us. We'll be able to try to see if we can come up with some kind of list online and go from there. Anyways, what the hell do I know? It's a guy behind a microphone.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F. Face drooping. A. Arm weakness. S. Speech difficulty. T. Time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, The Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you. Okay, there you go. Currently 43 after the top of the hour. This is Starlight with Nightcap. Well, Starlight Nightcap. And this song's called Can't Believe. Oh, yeah, you know how it goes. That techno stuff, we play it long here. So there you go. This one's readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Thank you to Starlight Nightcap for allowing us to play this one here on the Rated R Safety Show. Okay, so there you go. There you go. And that's going to be it for us right there. Anyway, so there you go. Some fun stuff always going around and about as we are hanging and banging, talking and moving. So let's talk about it real quick because you know that I have to talk about it because you and I are hanging out together. Let me tell you the most important part of anything that I'm ever going to tell you. I am going to tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or have lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to afsp.org. That is afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741 741. Listen, I want you to know that you are not alone inside of this world. People have struggled with some of these things in the past. Some of these people struggle with some of the things that are going on now. I get it. I understand it. I want to make sure that you are aware there are ways to get help. There are real stories that are out there. There's even a way to help your local community if you're so inclined to do so. Please understand that you're not alone. Please understand that. Before you do anything, if you're contemplating about doing anything, make sure you contact my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. So there you go. Always will be an important aspect of everything that we do here. So just for we can make sure that we're all on the same page. So let's talk a little bit more about some things that are going on inside of this world of ours, because there's so much going on, it seems like. Fasting food. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Fasting food, not fast food, but fasting food. Fad diets are a dime a dozen, but researchers at the University of Southern California say that they've put together which will help you live long and a healthy life. Their longevity diet favors fish and plant-based proteins and even features good amount of carbs. The bad news is that you need to avoid red and processed meats. The researchers reviewed hundreds of studies on nutrition, diseases, and long life involving both animals and humans, and it combined them with their own research. The longevity diet includes lots of whole grains, veggies, a little bit of white meat, low sugar, and a fair amount of nuts. It also requires people to eat their meals within a certain time frame and allows, for periods of fasting. The good news is that it includes dark chocolate. It's not milk chocolate, it's dark chocolate. How is that good news? No red meat. Maybe it seems like you live longer. I think about dieting sometimes. It takes a lot of weight off my mind. Sounds great, but I'm interested in fasting. I'm not, I don't want to diet where there's cheat means that you can eat when it's dark out there. So there you go. I always have to mention that because I have a hard time understanding that. Why is it that people that are big into wellness and health fads always use the word cheating as a good thing? Like, oh yeah, you can have your cheat day. Think about that. You can have your cheat day. I want you to go to your wife and not use any context, or go to your spouse in any context and said, hey, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to have a nice little cheat day.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Hey, I'm just saying, something tells me, it's not going to go well for you. Anyways, a California couple managed to have the wedding of their dreams at a shoestring budget of just $500. Kiara and Joel Brockingham, big day. They had, the bells and whistles of the traditional ceremony, a tuxedo, a white dress, a cake, flowers, and dancing, but none of the big price tags. For example, while the average wedding dress cost about $1,600, Kiara was able to get hers online and spent just $47. Kiara made her own invitations. Wedding took place in a public park, so it was free. Her mother is a pastor, so she officiated for zero cost. The flowers were paid by Kiara's godmother. The music, Kiara created a playlist on iTunes, of course. The 40 guests of the rehearsal dinner paid for their own meal. Why being so frugal? Well, the broken hearts were committed to not starting their lives in debt. Kiara's quote, "A wedding is a beautiful beautiful, but I don't want to mess up our long-term goals for as little as one day." So you'll notice that she didn't say anything about telling her husband to get a cheap ring. That's one thing. And then what did Joel do? Well, just like the guy for his wedding, he showed up and he got hung over. And then trust me, marry someone that cheap, well, you'll eventually pay for it. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, all joking aside about that, let's talk about this for a rational moment. I'm trying to be rational when it comes to this. You are aware that the traditional weddings are pretty much a down payment on a house. If you look at some of the pricing that's out there, you could probably do a down payment on a house for what most people will pay for a wedding. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's important. It is the love that you show. I'm saying all this stuff just in case my wife ever listens to this show, which that's the great part about it. My wife does not listen to my show. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Who the hell knows anymore?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so we're going to have to talk about it because you're about to hear a whole slew of this already if you haven't done so already. May the 4th be with you, because that's going to happen today. Did we all technically come from space? Apparently so. NASA scientists Goddard Space Flight Center of Maryland have discovered that the final building blocks of inside an asteroid, adding to the theory that meteorites may have long ago seeded our planet and with the necessary materials to create life. Scientists previously had detected the meteors that landed in the U.S., Canada, and Australia. 3 of the 5 chemical components needed from the DNA, the molecule that carries genetic instruction in living organisms. The RNA, the molecule crucial for controlling the action of genes. Researchers say that they have now identified the final 2 after fine-tuning the way that they were analyzing the meteors. Each formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago, and in its infancy, they pelted by meteorites. The earliest known fossils are marine microbial specimens dating roughly 3.5 billion years ago. Then the people showed up, invited a fire, and wrecked the place for a couple of 100,000 years. An intergalactic Star Wars day to boot, so think about that on the day that this stuff is being released. And I'm guessing that these weren't the same meteors that killed the dinosaurs. I'm just saying that out there just to be on the safe side. So if you take a look at all this stuff and think about it, may the 4th be with you today. And all of a sudden now we're talking about meteorites that potentially had life forms that brought it into this planet. This is going to be a weird day now that we're starting to think about all kinds of some of this stuff. Think about that.
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. Cortisol does a lot of great things for us. It liberates glucose and fats so we can receive energy to deal with whatever comes our way. It activates mechanisms to wake us up in the morning and get us going whether we have breakfast or not. But when chronically elevated, it creates a negative impact on our bodies. And sometimes the problem is when stress becomes something you're experiencing frequently, it's hard to tell whether cortisol is elevated or not. So here are a few signs that it may be high and it's time to take a break and de-stress. First, disproportional weight gain. If your limbs are staying lean, but you're getting weight in the midsection and your face, it may be a sign of high cortisol. Other signs may include mood fluctuations, muscle weakness over time, changes in skin and healing time, thinning hair, and altered sleep patterns. For additional information, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by David. John Ruskin said, "Quality is never an accident. It's always the result of intelligent effort." I like this quote. Quality is important. Usually you pay a little extra for quality, but in the long run, it can pay off for sure. I recently had the chance to see a piece of furniture that was built by a craftsman back in the 1800s. The dovetail drawers and the hand-turned legs, it must have taken them a long time. This piece of furniture is still solid and it's absolutely amazing. Now, my wife likes a little table that we had to put together ourselves. It lasted about a year. The particle board broke pretty easily the very first time we moved it. Quality absolutely matters. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Okay, there you go. Let's continue on. It is 54 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging and banging as we are doing all the fun stuff that we get to do right here. So if you're popping in from the other side, it looks like something has just happened to Twitch because it looked like it dumped me. So there you go. If you're listening onto the streamer and you're coming in and going, what the hell happened? Yeah, we got dumped. Yeah, we got dumped. So there you go. So let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of this lovely world of ours. So we talked about this briefly last week, so let's talk a little bit more about it. Sharon Osbourne has caught COVID from her husband, Ozzy. She revealed the news on her on the talk, which she was filming remotely, telling her co-star Jeremy Kyle that while Ozzy is doing better, she and her daughter Kelly Osbourne now have the virus. No word on when if they are fully vaccinated or boosted. So there you go. Some things to talk about as we are talking. Anyways, no winner for Monday night's Powerball drawing. Tonight's drawing will be for, a $37 million jackpot or $22.1 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, there you go. You have the opportunity to do so. What else do we have going on? We already talked about the Amber Heard thing of her potentially testifying today. Let's talk about some birthdays real quick because we'll do that. Taken from the bottom to the top, the top to the bottom. Let's see. Alex Lowell turns 27. Ray Lynn turns 28. Victor Olopio and Gracie Gilliam turns 30. Rory McElroy turns 33. JME, the rapper, turns 37. Dallin Weekes turns 41. Lance Bass turns 43. Kimora Lee Simmons turns 47. Mike Dirnt turns 50. Chris Tomlin turns 50 today. Will Arnett turns 52. Randy Travis, 63. Mick Mars turned 71, from Motley Crue fame. Jackie Jackson turned 71, and Katherine Jackson turns 92. That's all going on at the birthdays that are happening today. I didn't mention this. Did I mention this? No, I didn't. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 1998, a federal judge in Sacramento, California, sentenced the Unabomber Ted to 4 life sentences plus 30 years. The sentence was part of a plea deal by, the Unabomber, sparing him from his life for, the death penalty. Ted is known for his 17-year series of attacks using mail bombs to target academics, business execs, and others. He was arrested back in April of 1996. So there you go. 4 life sentences plus 30 years. Something tells me you're never getting out. So there you go. Anyways, if you're looking at some things to celebrate today, we got some of those. It's Bird Day, National Candied Orange Peel Day, National Orange Juice Day, National Renewal Day, National Weather Observes Day, National Skilled Trades Day, National Interpreter Appreciation Day, and National Bike to School Day. Oh, did I forget? I must have slipped my mind. And it is also National Star Wars Day, just in case if you thought I wasn't going to say it. There you go. It's National Star Wars Day, so make sure that you enjoy that if that's a thing for you. Anyway, so if you want to come and hang out with us at the top of the hour, we will be going over to RadioBig.fm to do our little music show over there, so you're more than welcome to come out, hang out, and do all the things that we get to do over there. So there you go. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, I got one of those for you. You can't make everyone happy, but you are not chocolate. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What problem do you think technology will solve next? If you need something for the water cooler, try this. When kids were asked to phrase this, what they hate most to hear from the parents, this came in at number 1. What is it? Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, that's a good portion because we know that money doesn't grow on trees, but thank you. Anyway, so if you want to come over, hang out, I told you I'll be going over to Radio Big, or you can keep it locked right here on safetyfm.com as we are doing our things that we get to do right there with all of our lovely little radio shows in regards of the world of safety. So there you go. That's what's going on over there. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listeners. Without you, we cannot do what we do around here. That is for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. Think about that. Boy, will that be a deep one for you today. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Radio.